Welcome to the Integrative Coach, where the art and science of being a spiritual human meet. I'm Iwanowski, and I'm a transformational life coach, nurse, artist, and Reiki master. And this is the second part of our series on the root chakra. The root chakra is located at the base of the spine. It's considered an energy center. I call it an energy center or energy vortex. And in the last or the first part of this three-part series, I just hit upon that a little bit and also talked about a couple of stories. You may want to go back to that first video if you would like to listen in on that. I wanted to talk a little bit more about how important, again, the root chakra is, as I have found in the past 6 years of being a Reiki master, working with my clients here in the Denver metro area. Again, it's really important that we realize the type of energetic beings that we are as humans, and how important it is for our energy to be at its peak level for our health and healing. The clients that come and see me, that's what I realize the most is about the health and the optimal part, healing of different kinds of things going on for them. With the root chakra, I want to reiterate that the root chakra is considered the energy center for our basic needs, our sense of safety and security, our basic needs met, roof over our head, food in our bellies, transportation, if we wanted income coming in, a job or something that brings income in. And this chakra has, as I mentioned before, has to do with also our inner child, younger child work. So there are different types of things that may have happened in our lives when we were a younger child that may have affected whether this chakra is basically fully developed. Are we experiencing things in our life currently as an adult, someone out from underneath the roof of someone else's household, in which we would have the opportunity to speak up for ourselves of our wants and our needs? And how do we go about requesting those wants and needs, which can be, again, associated with one of the other chakras of our system. And I wanted to say one more time, too, from part one, is that there could be that we're working on our own energies, our own inner child, younger child work. We could also be working on our ancestral, what they call ancestral karma, or it could also be related to karma for all of mankind or the collective. And as I mentioned previously, some people I have come to realize when I'm working on them energetically from an intuitive standpoint, that they may be working actually on all three levels. And this can be why for them life seems so gosh darn hard. So anyway, in this particular part, I'm going to just add some more information about the root chakra. And in part 3, which will come out in about a week, I will go over some specific exercises and practices that you might want to put into place if any of this makes sense to you with what may be going on. Remember too that if you feel that you do it or you want to be evaluated for the root chakra and what's going on for you in your life, please don't hesitate to call on me. You can look down in the description, and I do have a link to my website. My email is also there, and we can do just a 20 or 30 minute kind of an investigative call and just see if we're compatible for working together, and I'd be glad to work with you. I am located in the Denver area. I do prefer to work with people individually in person if at all possible. That works out the best, because I use Reiki as a part of my coaching practice whenever possible. It's totally up to the client whether they do want to incorporate that with it, but I found it to be very helpful because, again, we're energetic beings. So anyway, let's go back to the root chakra and the energies. First of all, if you ever saw a picture, an image of someone sitting in a yoga lotus position, right? You might see these colored dots going up from where they're sitting up to the top of their head, and those are the different chakras that I work with. And the root chakra, as I mentioned before, is the one at your tailbone, or if you were sitting down, the base of your body against the surface. And that particular chakra, again, I mentioned the inner child work. And I told you in the first part of this series how important I feel it is working on this chakra first and then working on up, or bouncing back and forth between different ones. But what you will find with this particular chakra is that if you're an adult, you're out from underneath someone else's household, and you're still experiencing fears, insecurities, even if you have a roof over your head, it may not be the Taj Mahal, you have transportation, it may not be the Maserati you wanted yet, this type of thing, but you do have the basic, this is again, you do have basic needs being met. Some food, roof over your head, transportation, a job possibly with some money coming in. Everything may not be your dream, but you have enough to take care of basic needs for yourself. If again you're having fears and insecurities around this, panic attacks, concerns about your finances, maybe you're even having where you do make money and money is coming in, but it seems to go out really fast, or you're not able to save, whatever those types of things are. A lot of that is related to that chakra. And again, if you were looking at someone sitting in the lotus position with these different colored dots going up, the root chakra is the first one at the bottom, the color red. So when we talk about different practices that you may be able to use to help with clearing and balancing that energy center, red would be the color that you would use. There are other things that go along with it. So there may be certain gemstones that not only the color, but the attributes of that gemstone could be helpful. There's also music that can be helpful for this particular chakra, and we'll talk very specifically about some of those things in the last part of this, the third part of this series. So what I've found is that with my clients, they report back to me that the things that we discuss regarding this chakra, going back to their younger child, inner child work, possibly looking at maybe doing past life regression, something like that, to see is there something coming up through from a past life that's affecting what's going on for that chakra. But if that chakra is clearer, the energy then, as I mentioned before, flows better, right? So I see that line of color dots in my mind's eye when I'm working with a client, almost like a piece of plumbing. And if it's straight and if it's clear and open, then energy can flow up and down that line of chakras easily. What I notice for clients, what I sense from an intuitive perspective, is that I sometimes see in my mind's eye that line of plumbing, that tube, is maybe disjointed. So that it's almost as if you looked at something and here's a straight and then an elbow thing was put on it, or a couple of elbow things, then it's straight again, then whatever. Doesn't mean that all the chakras are disjointed. Everybody is different. And even when I start with a client, and if I see a client again and we continue to work, I may see things differently because things have started to improve, repair, clear, balance, whatever. The other thing I see, and again in my mind's eye when I'm working with that line of chakras, is that something could be clogged. So just imagine having a piece of plumbing, right? A sink, plumbing coming out of the sink, and you do have the angles and everything in there, right? So the flow can be affected if it's clogged. So if you imagine in, again, plumbing in the bathroom, in the kitchen, whatever, that you have hair or dirt or lint or whatever, along with soap scum and all that kind of stuff. So water is going through, but maybe not at the rate or at the amount of energy that needs to be happening energetically. And then finally, it could be completely clogged. And so clogged, blocked, so that there's absolutely no energy going through a particular chakra. And we need to have energy going through all of them. I'd rather have a little bit through all of them than to have something completely blocked and clogged. You may know some of the things that may have happened to you when you were a younger person that may affect this chakra because of the things that I'm telling you. You may know of instances that have happened for you that definitely probably affected this chakra. But again, as related to a story I told you in the first part of my own personal experience of working with the root chakra recently, is that a experience came up that happened when I was conscious as a newborn baby, but not verbal yet, and couldn't speak up for myself. So things may have happened to you when you were a younger child in which you weren't verbal yet, but you took in that if I screamed and cried, it didn't matter how much I screamed and cried, to say I was in need of something, to meet a basic need for myself. What's the use of speaking up for myself? It wasn't answered then. Why is it going to be answered now? So these kinds of things can happen. You may not even know what caused the particular energetic disjointedness, clogging, or blockage. Another thing that can happen too is that there may have been the way we were raised, so that you may have you don't worry about your basic needs. We're taking care of you. You don't need to tell us anything else. We can't afford anything else anyway, no matter what you wanted. So you may that might be part of that financial part, right? That you either assumed or perceived, or you were told that it doesn't matter what your needs are. We don't have enough money for extra things in this family. So don't even worry about speaking up about it, or you might have just perceived it. Another thing is that you might have perceived as a young person something that happened. So I use an example such as this. You might have been talking, let's say, to somebody of authority, so a parent, an important teacher, possibly a religious figure in your church, synagogue, mosque, whatever. And you're talking to them about something important. But at that moment, you pick up on something, you perceive something in that instance because they got a look on their face, their eyes drifted away, glazed over, whatever. They made some kind of a sound or whatever. In a nanosecond, you might have interpreted that or perceived that as, I'm not important, what I have to say is not important, my needs are not important. And it could have been that what you experienced and perceived was true. They didn't take it in as something important. But it could have been something totally unrelated to what was going on at that time, your interaction with them. That you perceived it, saw it. In a nanosecond, you took in and made a decision about that. It could have been that their eyes rolled it to the top of their head. Well, maybe it's because they were thinking, oh my gosh, I forgot to turn off the coffee pot. Or, oh my gosh, I forgot to, grade this paper that the next person coming in is going to talk about. Or, oh no, oh my gosh, I forgot to take the roast out of the freezer. And what are we going to have for dinner? Okay, that is what might have been going on in their head. And we picked up on something in their eyes, their facial expressions, their body language, and sucked it in, took it in, that it was about us. And it may not have been. So things can get embedded in us energetically that can affect us as we come in, once we're out of their household, as a young adult into adulthood, that cause us to have interpretations of them, of things, perceptions of things that may not even be true. And then there are also those ones where the perception was right on, but we again are no longer under that household. We're now an adult. And what's great about work with the root chakra is that as you're an adult and you become healthier and you heal, then you can go back to your younger child, inner child, and work with whatever happened that you're aware of. And there's also a way to work with any things that you don't even know what happened, but obviously something has affected what is happening for you now. So there are many ways that are how do I want to say it? They're not. Yes, they're going to be profound, and yes, they are going to possibly bring up emotions. Sometimes emotions that we're afraid to face. Sometimes emotions that we're afraid at to what extent might come out of us and up out of us, and so we don't want to face that. But what's great about it is that finally we can have control over the situation, because we can say to our younger inner child, I am sorry if blah, 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 blah happened. Or blah, 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 blah is how you feel about blah, 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 blah happened. Okay? But I am here now, and I am willing to listen if you'd like to share anything, with me. If not, I still know something may or may not have happened because we're still being affected as an adult, but now I'm an adult and we're going to work on this. So you get your power back because you're not waiting for the parent, the sibling, the babysitter, the teacher, whoever was in charge of meeting your needs previously. You can meet your needs. And even it's been so amazing. Even when my clients and I talk about this, the energy can change and shift. It's fantastic. And then, as I mentioned, clients have told me that as they've started working on some of the practices that we'll talk about the next time I'm online with you, they have noticed differences in themselves. Just the awareness, as I talk about first, awareness first, then everything else can work out after that. So, but they even say themselves that in that awareness has been helpful and beneficial to making some shifts and changes for themselves. So I know that if you are experiencing anything along with this energy block, any blockages, clogs, disjointedness in the root chakra, that there are definitely things that you can do to work on this. So one last example I just want to bring up to kind of help you to maybe not be so afraid of the process. 99.9% of the people aren't doing this work because it takes energy and it does take a little bit of courage, but I'll give you something that may help you on this. Imagine a lava lamp. So a lava lamp has all this goo down at the bottom. We don't add goo. The goo is always there. It's the same goo, okay, in this fluid. What ends up happening, though, is that when that lava lamp is plugged in, and we've added heat or light or whatever it is, whatever that magic is that makes that goo come alive, right? We are so enthralled when that goo starts coming up into a big bubble, and we're like, when is it going to burst? Oh, look at that, it burst. It's the same thing with some of these other emotions that may come up for us, especially when working with the root chakra. So the emotions, the feelings are there. And as a matter of fact, they're old. It's water under the bridge. They're from the past. Yes, it does take a bit of courage to go, okay, I'm not sure how much emotion, how much of that bubble is going to come up, how much is going to burst. But with help, either from yourself or with the guidance of anyone, a coach, a therapist, your primary care provider, whatever it is that you need, that you personally need. It has nothing to do with the next person next to you, your siblings, your parents, your friends. No, it has to do with you. But if you can imagine that as you're doing this work on yourself for the root chakra, that inner child, younger child work, you're just helping to look at whatever emotion happened when you were younger, got embedded in you energetically, that you're just watching that come up, and when it bursts, it's released. And again, with either assistance of your own self, your higher self, your own awareness, your own knowledge, or the assistance of a coach, a therapist, whatever you feel that you need, you will start to notice a difference. Trust me, you will. All right, well, thank you for joining me again today for just a little bit more information. I hope that it helps you to understand a little bit more about the root chakra. And the next time when we get together, I will have some specific practices that you can start putting into place to help you with your own work on that. And then again, never hesitate to call on me or on any other support person that you feel might be needed to help you in this work, because that's how important it is and how important you are. All right, well, have a great day, and thank you again for joining me. I'm the InteGREATive Coach, Kathy Iwanowski, here in the Denver metro area. Take care.